All right, take a look at Bitcoin. It's enduring its 7-day losing streak, which continues now. Earlier today, the original crypto dipped below $40,000 a Bitcoin. It has clawed back up above 41,000. We're at 41,457 or so. But the sub 40,000 drop is pretty much the lowest point since September. As we head into 2022, some bulls are still very optimistic and pounding the table on cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin, and believe that prices could stabilize and then rocket higher this year. Let's go straight to the man known as the richest person in crypto. Billionaire and FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried is joining us in a Fox Business exclusive. In this new year, Sam, Bitcoin is enduring the longest losing streak since 2018. What is pulling Bitcoin's leash right now where you sit?
Yeah, I mean, some of this is just a general sell-off in similar types of assets. We've seen some things happening in stocks, particularly tech and growth stocks. Some of this is a reaction to signals that there might be some tapering off. There might be a reduction in inflation forecasts going forward. Some of this might be profit taking at the end of what is a really large up year for the crypto industry.
Would you say I'm wrong or right if I say that suddenly, well, not suddenly because we've seen this before, but that Bitcoin is trading in lockstep with equities, which have sold off?
It's definitely been increasing in that manner. I think that like every month we've seen, that correlation start to inch upwards. And I wouldn't quite say it's in lockstep, but I would certainly say that they are now decently correlated through at least a decent number of market events.
Are you higher, the same, or lower than the Bitcoin $100,000 crew this year?
Well, I certainly think that I wouldn't make, none of this is investment advice. I wouldn't project that necessarily at the end of the year. I think it's a possibility. But I think that there's certainly a possibility that it underperforms that substantially as well.
You are a real forward thinker and a risk taker. You are, as Forbes put it, the most wealthy cryptocurrency investor. I believe they put your net worth at $26.5 billion. Tell me when you bought your first Bitcoin and at what price?
So this was late 2017. As Bitcoin was sort of going through its run up from 3K to about 10K per token. And at that time, I was just getting involved in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. It was trading, in the low to mid single digit thousands. And while, it did buy a number, I also sold a number. It's doing arbitrage back and forth between different markets at the time.
But, there is this outlier issue, and it's not even outlier, it's front and center, and that is the SEC holding regulation over the crypto market like the sword of Damocles. What do you anticipate will happen? And does it make you think I should buy more today as it dipped below 40,000 or hold off for the moment?
We'll obviously have to see for sure, but I'm optimistic that over the next year or so, we'll see some really substantial steps forward in the global regulatory environment and the US regulatory environment for cryptocurrencies. It's been a pretty tough struggle back and forth, I think, for a while. And I think industry has as much to blame for that as anyone else in terms of the relationships that have been developed between the industry and regulators. But I think that there's a light at the end of the tunnel there. And I think there's some sort of straightforward policy proposals that could solve for what regulators want while also allowing cryptocurrencies to really grow a lot as an asset class, moving liquidity and volume onshore.
We have Bitcoin futures ETFs. Do you predict that this year an actual ETF that's tied to the price of Bitcoin will be approved?
It might or might not. I think it will happen eventually. I'm not sure whether it'll come in this year. And I think the big thing, it would be a lot more efficient. Right now when you're trading Bitcoin futures ETF, you're paying rolling costs. You've often been buying, effectively Bitcoins at a premium to spot. You can see that in the underperformance of the ETF relative to spot. It's going to come. It just so obviously should come from the perspective of customers and everyone else. It's a question of when. And the big thing that's waiting on is a spot Bitcoin market that the SEC feels comfortable with from a regulatory oversight, anti-market manipulation perspective. It has that with the CME futures. There isn't an equivalent spot right now.
Yeah, I mean, Gary Gensler has made it very clear he wants to protect investors. He just wants to make sure that these ETFs aren't just sort of piling in and not
Yep.
ensuring the safety for investors. You guys are way ahead when it comes to developing in NFTs, non-fungible tokens. In fact, you're, as I understand it, building some type of office in the metaverse that enables, Sam, people to do what? Purchase plots of land that are somehow in the digital universe?
Yeah, that's right. And I think what we're seeing right now is just the very beginnings of what this could be. I'm really excited for it, but I also think that this isn't, itself the be all and end all. I think that it's starting to show what could happen when you have a more comprehensive and engrossing digital universe, and then you start to see applications, programs, businesses plugging into it, and starting to interoperate with it, where you can move assets back and forth between their kind of closed window universe and a more general metaverse. I think we're pretty excited to sort of take a stake in the early development of this. But mostly, I'm really excited for where this could be a few years from now.
Sam, you're the wealthiest person in cryptocurrency. We're liking the T-shirt. We're liking the fro. We're liking the headsets. Stay true to us. We want to continue this conversation throughout the coming months, so please come back.
Anytime.